Welcome to the 2018 Spring Wildlife Conservation Expo. We're so happy you're here. Please join me in welcoming the president and co-founder of the Wildlife Conservation Expo, Charlie Knowles.
Thank you, Joyce. Thank you. Well, good morning, everybody. It's great to see you here. We've got 600 people coming today, but it's clear to see who are the really dedicated people, the ones who get up early and come. Happy early Earth Day. Thank you for being part of the solution. And I hate to start off a talk with statistics, but it's a little bit light here. But it's just something that struck me the other day. Last year in the United States, there was $400 billion given to charities, which is very generous. This is great. But of that amount, only 2.2% went to anything involving conservation or animals. Of that, only 3% went internationally. And so with a little bit of math, that's less than 1 part in 1,000 went to support international conservation causes. And sometimes I say to myself, where are those people? Where are these, that 1 in 1,000? Here you are. So thank you for being a part of that solution. We're going to have a fabulous day today and a lot of great speakers. It's going to be very, very exciting. I want to start off by thanking our sponsor, Safari West, who's been sponsoring WCN since we first started in 2002. So thank you, Safari West. And I want to give a special shout out to our incredible WCN staff who work tirelessly. We start a year ahead of time planning these things and the myriad of logistics that go into it that make it look smooth. So I want to give a shout out to not only our incredible staff, but the 40 volunteers who have volunteered their time today. So thank you all for that. And this is actually, if you count the fall and the spring, this is our 23rd Expo. And so I always kind of like to do a little bit of an audience survey here. How many people, is this your very first WCN Expo that you've been to? And that's, welcome to the 1/10 of 1% club. How many of you have been to 3 or more expos? 5 or more expos? 10 or more expos? 15 or more expos? That's fantastic. And I also know we have some people, it's just not a peninsula thing, so I want to do a little geographic survey here. How many of you live somewhere on the San Francisco Peninsula? Great. How many of you don't live on the peninsula but live in the greater Bay Area? How many of you don't live in the Bay Area but live in the state? How many of you live in the U.S. but not in California? How many of you don't live in the U.S.? And how many of you traveled from Delhi yesterday to be here? This one. So we're going to have a fabulous day. Be sure to go out and see the associates. One thing at WCN, we have a real spirit of generosity. We look at life through a lens of abundance, not scarcity. And so we want to bring as many organizations together. And if you go out there and you find an organization you want to support, even instead of WCN, that makes us happy because that's making the pie bigger. So there's 40 terrific organizations out there. Big ones you might know, like U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, who always come, Wildlife Conservation Society, who is a great partner, and smaller local organizations like the San Bruno Mountain Watch are here. So go out and meet them. And I was also told that there is some kind of a Earth Day raffle. And so the speakers' tables inside, if you go there, they'll give you a free raffle ticket. And we've taken a basket full of locally artisan-produced crafts, put them together, and somebody's going to get that at the end. So there you go. So I expect my boys, James and John, you guys to be winning that, since you win everything. And if you win it and you don't want it, give it to James and John. So we're here because of a somber reason. We know that the world's wildlife is under threat, and in the course of my lifetime, we've lost half the world's wildlife. But telling you about all this is a little bit like preaching to the choir. What I'd rather do is tell you about what we're doing about it, tell you about the successes and the role that you're playing in it. When WCN was founded in 2002, we were really founded on the belief that an individual can make a huge difference. And that really manifests itself in two ways: the conservationists in the field and all of you and what you do. So let me speak about both of those. In terms of the conservationists in the field, we believe that a social entrepreneur who's working on the right problem with the right strategy and has the right resources will run through walls to have success. And so that was our original model. Right now we have 17 of these core partners. We not only help them raise all the money they need, but we help them develop their organizations, build the capacity, and it's been incredibly successful. But what we do goes beyond that. We also have a scholarship program that you may not know about. We've sent over 100 local scholars from local communities back for masters or PhDs at places like Yale and Oxford. We have an internship program for up-and-coming conservationists where we'll send them to our partners to work. We support the Emerging Wildlife Conservation Leaders Program. And on the other side, in addition to the 17 core partners, you've probably come and seen guest speakers that we have, and there's a universe there of another couple dozen organizations and individuals that we support. And another core strategy is we've seen that in addition to the impact that these people have in their communities to conserving wildlife, that sometimes you have a problem that's just too big to be solved in a community. And with our partners, Save the Elephants, we saw this with the ivory crisis. And together we developed this elephant crisis fund that works not only across all of Africa, but internationally to reduce the demand by partnering with our good friends at WildAid and working with Wildlife Conservation Society. In fact, we've partnered, Ian will have the statistic later, but I think it's close to 50 different organizations that we've partnered and funded through the Elephant Crisis Fund. And so we saw this incredible power of scaling what we're doing and working beyond just local regions. And last year we launched the Lion Recovery Fund, and you'll hear more about that in a second, and it's having the same kind of impact, and we're looking at scaling with other species later. So there's some really exciting things going on the conservation end. And the other part of the one is you. And from the very beginning, I'm a philanthropist, and co-founders are philanthropists, and we said, what do philanthropists want? When you're going to give your hard-earned money away, what do you want? Well, you want impact. You want to know it's going to have a difference on the ground. But you also want efficiency. You want to know that the money is going to go to where it's going to have the biggest impact, and you're not just paying someone to take you out to lunch and send you a bunch of crap in the mail that you really don't want anyways. And the third thing you want is you want transparency. You want to be able to know where it's going. You want to be able to meet the people doing the work. You want to be able to travel there if you want to and ask the tough questions. And so that's how we were founded. And so when you make a donation to WCN, you can designate where it goes, and 100% of that money will go on the ground. Over 90% of all the funds that we raise go to support programs. They're incredibly impactful. We audit them, make sure that they're having the impact that they're having. And finally, on the transparency, you can go visit them. You can come to the expo, you can meet them. Kathy Gervais nodding her head. She just spent, was it 6 weeks? 6 months at Cheetah Conservation Fund in Namibia. And so she can tell you on the ground what's happening there. So that's the way we kind of look at the universe of these powerful individuals in the field and these powerful supporters like yourself. And it seems to work. And I'm proud to announce that I don't know, does anybody have a guess how much money has been donated by all of you since we got founded? We just passed $100 million. And the temptation, if I was sitting out there, was like, okay, well, they obviously don't need my money. But the statistic you need to follow on with that is that was from 103,000 donations that we've processed, 103,000. So the average donation to WCN is under $1,000. But collectively, we were able to have this huge impact. So thank you for being here. Thank you for all you've done. Thank you for your dedication. And I hope you have a great day. So thank you. Both my sons clapped. I guess I must have done a good job. So I was going to bring them up on stage because John wrote a book for his kindergarten class, and I didn't know what it was about, but I went and heard it, and the book was called Don't Kill Animals. So but now to get to the meat of our program and to introduce our first speaker, it's my great pleasure to introduce to you a man who has incredible vision, passion, energy, and the conservation cred to back it all up. WCN's Vice President of Conservation Programs, Dr. Jefe Parrish. No hug?
Welcome, everybody. The best. That's what you're going to experience today. You're going to experience the best investments in elephant conservation, in primate conservation, cotton-top tamarins, in cheetah conservation, and in Andean cats and snow leopards and many others. And that's what we do. WCN is wildlife's venture capital firm. We find a good investment for you, and we make sure that they can be the best that they can possibly be. And that's how we're going to save wildlife. But sometimes those problems, as Charlie said, are way bigger than a single organization. When the ivory crisis hit, we saw that with Ian and Frank, we sat down and we said, how are we going to address this? No single institution can solve this problem, even save the elephants. And that's where the idea of the second strategy of a crisis and recovery fund was created. We said, what if instead of an institution, we funded the best ideas? So ideas rather than institutions. What if we kept that same model, sending 100% of the donations straight to the ground, even paying the wire transfer fees separately so that we addressed a crisis, because that's what it's going to take. It's going to take that level of everybody coming together around one strategy, bringing their best, whether they're a 2,000-person organization or a 2-person organization. And to date, we've been able to raise for the ivory crisis, to address the ivory crisis, and we sure as heck aren't done yet. But we've been able to raise $17 million and deploy that money to the ground, to over 180 projects. And we're just getting started because we still have more work to do. And Ian and Frank and the STE team will tell you more about that later. We learned a lot from that Elephant Crisis Fund, and we realized that, the ivory crisis isn't the only problem out there where this model might be able to make a difference. And there was a quiet crisis happening also on the continent of Africa. It was one that many of even our closest friends in this family didn't really know about. And that was the crisis facing lions. And not just lions as a species. You know from our incredible partners, the most profound investment you can make in lions is around partners like Shivani Bala and Owasso Lions and Nyasa Lion Project and Colleen Begg. You knew from them that there were problems. But many of us didn't realize that we've lost half of lions the past 25 years. Half of them. It's the king of beasts. And we can't seem to keep it on its throne. There actually, and this is not to compare and have animals competing against each other, but there are fewer lions on the continent than rhinos. And everybody's talking about rhinos. So we have got to make a difference, because what is happening with lions reflects what's happening to these landscapes. And so we said, well, what if we could take those lessons learned from the brilliant people at Save the Elephants around the Elephant Crisis Fund and apply it to lions? And that's what we did when we launched the Lion Recovery Fund last year. And because of your help, we've already we launched formally in last August around World Lion Day with our partnership with the Leonardo DiCaprio Foundation and with the guidance of our partners at Owasso Lions and Nyasa Lion Project. And we've already funded 18 projects on the ground. We have deployed $1.6 million. We are on track right now to fund an additional 20 projects before the end of this year. Because from Central and Western Africa, where some people didn't even realize there still were lions, in places like Senegal, to East Africa and down to the South, lions are in trouble and they need their help. But they can come back. And the reason they can come back is, A, they're cats. If you've ever seen a litter of cats in the alley, they can reproduce pretty fast if we just give them this safe harbor, give them the food they need and safety. So they can come back fast. We could have 3 to 4 times the number of lions we have today if we just took care of the protected areas in lion range alone. So that's hopeful. And that's what this whole day is about, is hope. I'm also really hopeful because there are incredible people that are doing incredible work, and we aim to do our damnedest to support them in every way that we can. And one of those organizations is actually an organization that is not only championing lions, but has done extraordinary work around the illegal trade in wildlife parts, particularly with ivory. And that is an organization based in Zambia called Wildlife Crime Prevention. We have supported them not because we just like them, but because of the merit of their ideas through the Elephant Crisis Fund. So we knew this organization. And when they were proposing ideas around tackling other problems in Zambia that are confronting lions, we said, let's have a look at what they're doing. And again, heavily competitive process. We vet and review because your dollar, where it goes, is very, very important to us. We identified an extraordinary project that is led by our next speaker, who I'm really happy to welcome, not as part of that partner network, but as part of this fund network of partners who were fighting the fight for lions. Louis Ngaluka is from Zambia, Zambian born, but she grew up in Botswana, and some place some people have heard of, the Okavango Delta. She is an extraordinary conservationist, but she's also a person who, not just because of her organization, but because of her as an individual, gives me great hope that we're going to win. Because she is this next generation. I had my birthday yesterday, and I got a little bit of gray hair, so now I'm starting to look. Charlie's even referred to me as the old man in the room. But I look at someone like Louis, and I think, my God, we're going to win. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Louis Ngaluka, who's going to talk to us about their game-changing efforts to eliminate the threat of the bushmeat trade on lions. Louis.